Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Crucial Conversation. Critical
Casual.
Casual Casual Conversations with Miss Ramirez. Dr. DeVries is going to be on later, probably, possibly, and the Success Engineer. Today, we're going to be talking about what takeaways can we get from the pandemic. Uh, there's a quote that says, "Life is 10% about what happens to you, and 90% about what you do about it." So we in a pandemic right now, and we could be in pandemic for the next 2 years. We don't know when it's gonna end. We can have the vaccine, we can have whatever, but we don't know the right now effects and the lingering effects of this pandemic. So what can we take away from just this time period? I'm all about adversity and getting overcoming adversity. And that I think that's the number one key to success anyway. It's not, and I say this a lot, is not struggle. Struggle is not a requirement for success. And it's the overcoming of adversity, because adversity is different for everybody. Struggle is different for everybody. And it's not a requirement to struggle. I have friends that they're like, and Steve Harvey was homeless at a time, and one of my friends asked, "Do we have to get to that point to where we can really be successful?" Because a lot of highly successful people had that very low point to where they was like it was like do or die type of thing. And I was like, no, it don't have to get to that point, but we have to have that mentality that we don't have anything left to do. Like there's nothing to lose from being homeless. I can't get no lower than that, right? And we in a pandemic, and we we gotta take away something. We gotta learn something from this. So what's one of your takeaways that you're gonna think about moving forward, as we move forward, if we even get out of a pandemic?
Oof. I mean, there's a lot. Um, I guess, like personal wise, probably just appreciate. I mean, I guess everyone always says, appreciate the little things in life, but um, I like it. I feel like with the pandemic, it definitely took it to a whole nother level. I feel like people are now seeing the value in things that they probably just got so used to and living a routine. And I feel like that's a constant concept for a lot of us, if not all of us, here, especially in this country. I feel like we live a fast-paced life, and we live on the routine of every day. So I think we got used to certain things being normal, like going to school, going to work, things like that. And like a lot of people who are like still like doing things from home, you start realizing how much you you miss those places. At first, obviously, even myself, when we got told that they were gonna push spring break a little bit further, I was like, all right, okay, like that works for me. I got an extra a week to do nothing, and then it turned into a whole month, and then like no school anymore. And so it really did make an impact, because I was like, okay, well, I never realized how much I was going to miss school. um and so I see that a lot in some of our students. It's like they never realized how much they would actually miss waking up, getting on that bus, going to class, that social interaction, which is, I think, is very important, because a lot of times, we have been making a move towards being more with technology and communicating through social media and things like that. But I think this was a great reminder of the importance of social interaction and human connection. And I hope this gave us some of our humanity back. Um, and you know, but definitely that'd be my takeaway personally. Professionally, it just be to adapt as quick as possible and learn. That's all you can do. You know, going into this job, like this is my first job out of college, and it may having it be, virtual, and having it, it did make it a little bit tough. I did have to change my plans. I didn't go straight into being an English teacher like I thought I would. um I would have never thought I'd be a college advisor, but definitely adapt. I had to change my game plan. I had to adapt to new opportunities and just try to succeed from there, and try to create new goals and change up the timeline.
What I mean, what if you hadn't have gotten this job? You know,
Yeah.
like uh, and and
Right.
then there's not a lot of teachers out there or whatever. You probably would just do subbing, but
Honestly, I don't know. If I'm gonna keep it real, I did not want to go straight into teaching. I experienced having to do my what is it, student teaching during the pandemic, and it was very tough, and I was just like, you know what, I don't think I want to go straight into teaching right now during this pandemic. It's going to be a lot, especially for first year teachers. Like if all teachers are going through it, it's a difficult transition. But being a first year teacher, props to anyone who is a first year teacher, and they're out here, trying to figure it out with the pandemic. But that was not going to be me. And I was just like, okay, well, let's see what other opportunities there are. And I heard about this opportunity. Um, and if I wouldn't have gotten this job, I mean, I don't know what I would have been doing. Probably trying to find the next best thing, or something around like something around the education world. And if I didn't get that, then I don't know. Anywhere that it would hire me, honestly. As long as I would have
so
gotten an employment, that would have,
right.
you know.
Would you work fast food if you had to?
Um, uh, I mean, if it came down to it, yeah, probably. But I think, um, I'm pretty sure I probably would have just used my minor, honestly. So my minor, I have a minor in Spanish translation. So honestly, I would have just gone, taken some classes, taken some exams, and become an interpreter.
You don't have no student loans though either. Or
I have no student.
yeah, so that's a little different too.
Yeah.
Different scenario. So a lot of our students have missed whole years. They missed uh, their senior year, their junior year. What do you think about that? Like just coming back from not even like it,
Hard.
yeah.
It's hard. It sucks. I mean, it definitely does. I mean, I didn't get to walk for my graduation. And then it got moved to December, and then in December it got canceled again. And then now they're looking to let us walk in March, but like at this point I'm kind of just like, I mean, I do want to walk, and like I definitely feel for those who are seniors or who were seniors and didn't get a chance to walk, because it's like I said, those little things that we don't even think about. Like it wasn't until I got like, and it wasn't until I realized that I couldn't walk that I realized how important walking in your graduation is, because at first I was like, oh yeah, it's graduation, like, it's fun, like, you get to celebrate, you did it, your accomplishment, you got that degree. But then you think about it and you're like, dang, like you want to walk, you want to walk, you want to have your people there for you, you want to look out in the crowd, and you want to see those who you care about look proudly at you, and you want to feel that moment of achievement. And definitely not being able to have that, it does impact you. But I mean, there's nothing much you can do. Like there's nothing much you can do. You just got to be thankful for the things that you do have. And like you might not, it's gonna sound kind of harsh or something, but you might not have prom, but at least you're healthy, and you just gotta be you just have to switch out things, to replace other things. I mean, I don't know, personally, especially like if I was an athlete during this, like last time, like last year, I definitely would. I can't imagine not playing my senior year. So like that would have hurt me if I couldn't play soccer my senior year. Definitely would have hit me hard. But
I don't know. I guess I'm a little different. Maybe because I didn't experience a lot of like nostalgic things through like growing up.
mhm.
Like I mean, I did. I graduated, obviously. Like I did sports events and sports awards ceremonies and stuff like that, but they weren't ever like super special to me. Like I just attended. I guess I was just there, and I think the delayed gratification. So I think there's an element at play right now is instant gratification and delayed gratification. And then, my one of my favorite quotes is every adversity comes with it the seed of its equivalent advantage. So like just having to overcome the adversity of I don't get to do this at all. I don't get to experience this at all. Like that's an adversity. Like I have to deal with whatever I'm thinking, feeling, my surroundings, all of that stuff. But then there's an advantage to that. There's an equal and opposite advantage to it. We don't know what that looks like, but for me, it's always been better when I delayed the gratification or when it's been halted because I graduated my master's during the middle of the Great Recession. So my success um, in my professional career was delayed by a lot, because I had the qualifications of middle management or higher coming out of grad school, you know what I mean? And I didn't get that. But now that's put me in a mindset because I handled it differently. I put in extra work. I was like, I can't just stop. I have to keep on doing what I'm doing because those opportunities will come again. And then you can develop a appreciation for the nostalgic things that happen in your life. So yes, my senior year was disrupted. Yes, I didn't get to graduate. Yes, I didn't have my sport or anything. But when those things come back around, because they're coming back around, you can take more opportunity to appreciate it in the moment and soak in more of the moment because it was taken away from you, not by your choice or anything like that, but it was taken away from you, and and then you can move on with that. There's a lot of I forgot what I was going to say after Dr. DeVries come in. Um,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. ACT comes first, right?
Today it does
Yeah.
because it's tomorrow. But
The ACT is tomorrow.
yeah, we're having an ACT test tomorrow at Sumner, February 6th.
Gotcha. Well, we've been just talking about development of appreciation. Oh, this is where I was going with it. I equate that to I'm big on basketball, and a lot of students, a lot of kids, they play year-round basketball all the time. Like they're playing games, multiple, all of these things, and it kind of takes away, it waters down the importance of having a high school basketball season, right? And uh, having all those games, like you get immune to the fact that oh, I'm gonna play another game tomorrow. I'm gonna play another 5 games next week with my traveling team. And then the importance goes down, because like when you get to the NBA, NFL, you have a certain amount of games that you can play to get to a certain spot, and then you don't have no more for the rest of the year. But you keep on, like, we've been gifted, or well, I don't know what the word is right now, but we we're kind of like entitled entitled to all of these things, but when it's taken away, we don't know how to deal with it because we've been dealing with it for so long. So we have AAU games in the summertime. We have our high school during the winter and early spring. Then we go back to AAU. We don't understand the importance of the right now. These high school games. There's always another day, but that another day didn't come because the pandemic hit. And we have to deal with that. We have to understand that, hey, we should have held that to a higher degree than what we did. We should have respected it. We should have appreciated it even more. So when we come out of this pandemic, we can be able to be appreciative of those little things, like you said earlier, Leslie.
Mhm.
Dr. DeVries, you want to weigh in?
So the overall question is what can we learn from the pandemic? Is that right?
Yeah, some takeaways from the pandemic.
Well, I mean, I think I'm sure you guys have talked about, not taking things for granted, not taking the ability to go places and see people and be in contact with the people that you love. Um, so I because you just never know when that's going to be taken away from you. So I think that's really important. You know, one of the things I think I've learned in the pandemic is um, how important it is to really like myself, because sometimes that's the only person I'm with during the pandemic. So learning how to like who I am and like my routines, or if I don't like my routines, figuring out how to adjust those so that I do like them. Um, I never, I mean, I've always known that I get energy from people. I mean, that's kind of I'm an extrovert. So I know that I get
Oh,
energy from being around people, but it's really, it's really evident to me um, during the pandemic. I mean, I like to be quiet and I like to be reflective and I like to be alone, but I don't like to be just by myself all the time. So um, I've had to really get used to who I am and know that I'm hungry for inner. I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm always the one who this time of year would be like, oh man, we need a snow day. I'm ready to stay home all day. And right now I'm like, oh man, I just want to go. I went to school yesterday and it's like, oh, I miss coming to school, even if the only people I see are, just in passing for a few minutes. I just miss having interaction with people. So that's some things I've learned.
there is a lot to like. I like to be by myself, but um, my routine was messed up. I was going to the gym for everything, or not everything, but all day, every day, after work or whatever, for years, and then I had to figure how to stay in shape. Plus, it didn't help that um, my my blood pressure medicine was I was getting a negative side effect to the blood pressure medicine I was on during the pandemic, making me feel like I had COVID or whatever. Like that stuff is crazy. And just like I developed a appreciation for that. And we talked about like how students have like missed the whole year or missed their graduation or missed the end of their senior year and all of these nostalgic stuff that you can't never get back. It'll never just come back. So what do you do about that? Like how do you deal with that? Not how do you deal with that, but it's it's a part of life now.
Well, and I think we deal with that the same way you deal with other disappointments. I mean, I feel like, especially students who graduated in 2020 and even the seniors who'll graduate in 2021, there are a lot of traditions, rites of passage, kind of, that they're going to miss because of the pandemic. Um, but I mean, we all miss different things throughout life, and we just learn how to deal with missing those things. I mean, if you live far away from your family, at some point you might miss, birthdays or special occasions, um, whether there's a pandemic or not. And sometimes you have to make choices. I can remember, when I first started working back when I was a teenager, um, and having to make choices. I have to go to work and all my friends are having a party and I'm supposed to be at work at McDonald's on Friday night. And I have to make that choice to go to work instead. So, I mean, we all start experiencing disappointments and things we have to prioritize in life. And I'm sorry for our students because, they missed prom, and this year's class of seniors might miss prom as well, and might miss hopefully they'll have an in-person graduation, but it won't be like they've usually been. So just learning how to bounce back from those kind of setbacks and know that, when you do have something that you enjoy, just relish it and be grateful for it, instead of dwelling on, oh, I missed that, or oh, I missed this, because you do get over it. I mean, it doesn't feel like you will at the time, but you do. And there'll always be college graduation, and there'll always be future.
Maybe not, right? Maybe not.
No, our kids are going to go to college. They're going to do well. They're going to do amazing. Just think of the resilience that our students have learned in the past year. And I know that right now, being proud of being resilient may not feel as good as it should, but the skills that our students are learning, getting up every day and logging in, trying to keep up with work, reaching out, those are important skills that'll carry them through life, not just through university life. So the things you're learning right now are lessons that will help you be resilient even in the toughest of times. Um, so our
Even more resilient.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of our students come from disadvantaged backgrounds, so it's already in them to be resilient. They are, like I say all the time, the people at the bottom are going to be the ones that change the world. It is up to them how they it's their priority to overcome their adversity. So if we want to change the world, it's those people at the bottom that have come through it, lived it, breathed it, experienced every aspect of it, that are going to be able to innovate those different processes at the national and world levels. That it is that's why I'm in the education world, because I understand that. Like people that come for money and do this, they can help, but it's not going. They're not going to push the needle as much as a person that understands every little aspect about growing up in poverty and dealing with parents or no parents or something like that, and just having that resilience from a standpoint of I just have to survive and I'm a dependent, and growing up through that, man, that's powerful. And if we can harness that, yeah, if you can, if the students out there that are listening, if you can survive and then advance, I guarantee you the future is way brighter at the other end, because you just have to do what you have to do to survive with a focus on a brighter future, and you can do anything you want. Nothing can stop you by at that point. Like if poverty didn't stop you, if violence or death or whatever didn't stop you when you were young, and you couldn't do anything about it, you're unstoppable. We got to harness that and move on and overcome the adversity. Like if you were born in adversity, you were born to succeed, because adversity is the number one key to success. Overcoming adversity is the number one key to success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. Um, I think, a lot of times students, they'll make comments about, well, I'm just not a good test taker, or I'm just not as smart as somebody else. But sometimes, well, in fact, the most successful students, in my experience, are not the students who are born gifted or who have every advantage. It's the students who are willing to work hard. And um,
So that's a part of the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So a lot of people that come from poverty or disadvantage, they are taught the fixed mindset where you are functioning in an environment of lack or lack of opportunity, lack of this, lack of that. So there's a limited time, limited amount of things that you can do to help further yourself, right? But if we transition that into the growth, like I may not be a good test taker, but I can learn to do whatever. That builds on top of your resilience. Like if you can say that, like I do that all the time. I don't know it, but your ability to learn is your most valuable asset. The ability to learn in every situation, and that's why I thought of this podcast topic, is that we need to learn something from the negative that we're in, and we learn more from our losses than we do our victories, because you can be the number one team at the beginning of the season, but you may not be the number one team at the end of the season, and that's hard to keep. Luckily, the Chiefs have been able to do that,
they've
and
experienced loss this year. They know how it stings.
no, but they still been the number one team. That's what I'm saying. They experienced adversity. Yeah. See? They experienced adversity. But it's hard to maintain, like with Sumner is the number one school in Kansas. So uh to grow, you have to go through some adversity. To grow, you have to learn some things and change some things. A lot of people aren't willing to change, and when you're up here, when you're at the top, you don't want to change much. So I'm not saying go for always go to be number one, like play the game to be number one, but with being number one, it's you gotta be on top of your game. It ain't just you stay the same all the way through, from the opening game to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs didn't stay the same all the way through that. They got better and better and better and better. That's how it goes. It doesn't. It's the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is that if I stay the same, I'll continue to be number one. But you can't
Or
say the
not,
same. Or what?
or not.
Or not what?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people who have a fixed mindset just resign themselves to, I'm going to stay where I am. I don't have the ability to advance. I don't have the skills or the knowledge or the opportunities. And I think that, you know, that's just as dangerous, you know, as thinking, oh, I'm great as I am, can also be, oh, I'm stuck where I am.
Yeah.
It might
And
just
that's
be.
why, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like there's sometimes this negative connotation when it comes to the word change, because sometimes people use it like, oh, you've changed like for the worse, but it's like you've moved on from that certain space that you were in. You outgrew that time period. Those people sometimes you'll outgrow too. And there's nothing wrong with that, with evolving and finding growth within yourself. I think that's part of life and it happens. And I think like Dr. D was saying, sometimes people don't want to change um, because they're afraid that they're gonna have to take a step back, because sometimes they're afraid to that, you know, if they change jobs to another job that it won't go as well as the job that they're in. They're already doing good where they're at. They don't want to risk um, having to take like fall back a little bit, and things not going out the way that they plan. So it's that little voice in your head, the little failure possibility, that kind of sometimes holds people back from changing and becoming a better version of themselves, because they become so accustomed to who they are at the moment and where they are at. So um, I just think this pandemic just goes to show that like nothing, even if you've planned your life, um, there's not really 100% like, you know, way that you can really have everything under control, and you have to be able and willing to change whether you like it or not. It's gonna happen. So
Control what you can control. You grow through what you go through. Yeah. Those are simple things. And I don't think students are you. I don't think I really understood what was going on at the time. That and we're talking about this because we've experienced some things, because we're a little bit older than high school students anyway. But um, at the time when things are happening to you and as you're going through school life and whatever life brings you, you don't necessarily know how that's going to help you grow. And um, I'm still studying this part of life because it's it's weird to it's strange, it's weird to know what is actually coming in the future. So I have excellent forethought. Like I think things all the way through. If this happens, this is the outcome of that. And that gets scary to me because you know when I got out of grad school, it was in the middle of the Great Recession, and it was 8.7 million jobs lost during those 3 years of the Great Recession. So, but I got out. I was like, I got a master's degree. I got 6 years of work experience, like progressive experience. I had all these certifications and things like that. I was like, I'm gonna make life changing money for my family, and that didn't happen. And I'm sleeping on a pull out bed, or bed I pull out from the garage into onto my mom and cousin's living room floor, you know, for 3.5 years. And you know, that does something to your confidence, that does something to like just your mindset, and just having to overcome that. I didn't understand what it was doing to me. And one thing I did, I never really complained about that. And I don't think I complain about it now. It's just I talk about it because it happened. And I don't think it was supposed to happen that way. Like, especially in my mind, I'm like, I did everything I was supposed to do up until that point, and I still didn't get any reward from it. And I guess that goes to my ultimate mindset of like, I got to reward myself. Like if nobody rewards me for my accomplishments, whatever, I got to do it myself. And that's one of the takeaways that I had is like, well, it didn't happen, but I did keep on growing. So I started doing group fitness, and then I added some more things to my repertoire so that um, I was able to pivot, pivot when I needed. I talk too much.
No, you don't. I love the metaphor, and you guys may have mentioned this before. I love the metaphor of a caterpillar changing into a butterfly. I don't know what that
The
feels,
metamorphosis.
but yeah. I feel like sometimes we're in a process of metamorphosis, and I don't know what a caterpillar feels when it wraps itself up, but it has to feel. I mean, I imagine uh, kind of feels like the end. I mean, you wrap yourself up, you go to sleep. I mean, that that feels like death almost. And in the process of going so dormant, there's this emerging something totally new and different. And I think we get to do that multiple times in our lives. You know, there can be times when we feel like, am I at the bottom? Can it get any lower, or can I be struggling anymore? And those are the times when we really have the opportunity, I think, to make significant changes and to pick ourselves up. Does that mean we can't make changes if we're not rock bottom? Absolutely not. I think we can always be in a process of metamorphosis, of reinventing ourselves to the person that is kind of beyond our imagination. I mean, obviously, I'm imagining what a caterpillar goes through, but to come out on the other side and to be beautiful and have these new abilities to fly. And I mean, we don't know what our new abilities will be when we're making changes. I mean, if you would have asked me, even 5 years ago, did I imagine myself producing a website every week? Did I imagine myself teaching online and being able to do video conferences and things like that? Those are not things that were in my wheelhouse. Those were not tools I was good at. And yet I've been forced to figure it out, as we all have been. So we get a chance to grow and change all the time if we take advantage of the opportunities, even if they don't feel like great opportunities when they first come along.
Yeah. And I feel like, at the same time, it's like when you're changing, you're adding, you should think about it as adding you to yourself, because at the end of the day, all of your past skills are still going to stay with you. Because if you're changing, it doesn't mean that you're forgetting who you are, or like you're becoming a new person. It's like, yes, you can think of it as that, but at the end of the day, if you've been through a whole bunch of stuff in the past, you're using all that, like all the experiences that you've had before, all the skills that you had before, and you're just creating new ones and polishing the old ones. So I think that's also important to remember. It's like you still have all the abilities that you had before. You're just becoming a better version of yourself.
That's right. A better version of yourself. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that the metamorphosis is what I'm calling my time, my last 18 months. The metamorphosis into MT.
I'll make that my EP.
The
That's gonna
metamorphosis.
that's gonna be my EP.
Hey, it's time. It's time to do whatever you think you're supposed to do. Like if um the sense of urgency is up too. Like I mean, I'm turning 37, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. died at or was assassinated at the age of 39. Malcolm X was assassinated at the age of 39. Kobe Bryant died at the age of 42. And Tupac died at the age of 26. Biggie died at the age of, these are people that influence me a lot, and I'm coming up on the ages, and life and death is something that we don't like to think about. We don't like to think about death a lot, but it's a reality, and we got to appreciate the life that we do live, and you're here for a reason. You are here for a reason, and it's not just to pay bills and go to work. You have more to give, more to offer, and just going to work and paying bills is not it. And everybody's going to do a lot more. Everybody has the ability to do a lot more and give back a lot more than what we think. It's those little things that are going to um, push the world in a better place, and the future is always better. The future is always better. Any final thoughts?
I guess my final thoughts would be to our students: don't feel like the pandemic is wasted time. It's time different from what you expected, but it's not wasted time. And sometimes when you least expect it is when you can learn the most. So take advantage of this time. Enjoy it. There will be a day in your life when you will wish you could stay home, when you will wish that you weren't allowed to congregate, when you could just be by yourself. So enjoy this time, take care of yourself, take care of your physical and mental health, and know that you're going to grow. You can't stop it.
Is it Mina?
Yeah.
So uh I just, I don't know, so many thoughts come into my head. We were talking about Tupac, and one of my favorite quotes is, if you can't find something to live for, you better find something to die for. And Mr. Tupac is one of my inspirations, and I always think of his quote, because I take it as, uh, sometimes, you you don't you don't find reason, or you don't see why, like, why should I wake up and get out of bed, and we're in a pandemic, but it's like, you can't find something to live for, find something to die for, and something for me that I always, uh, if I, like, I think about, is like, if I were to pass away, like, right now in this moment, like, would I be proud of what I've done so far? Would I, like, kind of like how Mr. Taylor said, like, um these were legends that, even though they might have passed away before their time, they're gonna live for a long time. And so you want to make sure that everything you're doing right now, you want to make sure that you're leaving a legacy, even if you don't think, you're just one person, you're just in Kansas City, like, what legacy can you leave? But it's like, no, like, what your life is going to impact other people around you. So want to make sure that you work hard to leave that legacy in your friends and your family, and your community, and in the world. Who knows?
Yeah. Family, community, that is the world. That is the world. I mean, it's your world. It may not be bigger, it may not expand outside of your own community, but you are changing the world within that, those little aspects. And that's what we all can strive for, is those opportunities to change the world in those aspects. But um, yeah, I think the overall takeaway is the appreciation for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Just life in general. Like, we're in strange times that nobody's ever seen. So um, you can choose one or two things. You can choose not to grow or to grow. And as long as you choose to grow, like there's nothing that can stop you. Like there's no pandemic. Survive and advance is the only thing that I can. The future is going to be better. Things are going to come back. We're going to have the nostalgic things again. Um, but we can't have that fixed mindset of it's always going to be like this, or it was never like this before. Like the Spanish flu, we had that before, it went away. You know, we had the depression, all the recession, all of these different things that happened, but like we went back to some sense of normalcy after. You know, it took some time, but we'll get back. We'll get back. So we just need to appreciate what we have and grow.
And hopefully we'll get back and we get better. I mean, you know, that's that's the goal of growth. So hopefully that when the pandemic is over, we're better people than we were before it started. I mean, we've had a lot of things happen in the last year in our nation, in our smaller communities, in our city, that hopefully we're learning from, and hopefully we're growing, and we're getting better. So we'll see. And if we don't, shame on us. Shame on us.
All right, for Miss Ramirez and Dr. DeVries, this is the Success and Engineer signing out. Y'all have a good one.